Have you ever felt like you are losing your mind around someone? Someone who twists every reality, makes you apologize for things they did, and leaves you feeling completely drained. You try to explain, you try to use logic, you try to show them how much they are hurting you, but somehow, by the end of the conversation, you are always the villain. If this sounds familiar, you aren't dealing with a regular person who just had a bad day. You are dealing with a narcissist. And the biggest mistake you can make is trying to fix them with love, empathy, or logic. They don't play by the same rules. To stop them from ever messing with you again, you have to stop playing their game entirely and rewrite the rules. Let's dive deep into 6 highly effective, psychological weapons that will make a narcissist back away from you permanently. These aren't just superficial tips. These are core psychological shifts that strip a narcissist of their power and make you completely untouchable. The first strategy takes a well-known concept and pushes it to its absolute limit. You have probably heard of gray rocking, the act of becoming as boring, flat, and unreactive as a gray rock on the side of the road. While gray rocking is a great shield, smart narcissists can see right through it. They know it's an act. They can feel the tension underneath your silence, and they will poke, prod, and insult you even harder just to crack that exterior and get a reaction. To truly defeat them, you must go beyond gray rocking and adopt radical indifference. The difference is profound. Gray rocking is a desperate attempt to suppress your emotions on the outside while your blood boils on the inside. Narcissists feed on that suppressed energy. Radical indifference, however, means you genuinely do not care. You have completely disconnected your emotional battery from their grid. Narcissists live for emotional supply, known in psychology as narcissistic supply. They don't care if it's positive praise or negative rage, as long as they can make you feel something, they control you. Radical indifference starves them completely. When they try to insult you, humiliate you, or start a fight, your face remains entirely neutral. Your body language is relaxed. You look at them not with anger, but with the same blank interest you would give to a stranger reading a grocery list. If they say something incredibly cruel like, "You are the most selfish person I've ever met, and nobody else will ever love you," your response should be a flat, unemotional, "Okay." Or, "You're entitled to your opinion." And then, you immediately go back to scrolling on your phone, reading your book, or walking into the next room. You don't stomp away in anger. You just move on because they have become completely irrelevant to you. Once they realize they can no longer affect your emotional state, they will stop trying and look for an easier target. The second weapon is the one-strike rule. Narcissists are boundary thieves. They don't destroy your life all at once, they do it millimeter by millimeter. They start by testing small boundaries, making a subtle disrespectful joke, showing up late without an apology, or telling a small, convenient lie. If you let it slide, if you laugh it off or say, "Just don't do it again," you have just handed them the blueprint on how to exploit you. They now know exactly where your boundary is, and they know you won't enforce it. Next time, they will push a little further. You must put an end to this cycle by enforcing a strict one-strike rule. No second chances. No repeated warnings. No emotional paragraphs explaining why what they did was wrong. The very first time they lie to you, manipulate a situation, or show blatant disrespect, you act immediately. Acting immediately does not mean screaming or shouting. It means applying an immediate consequence. The moment they cross a line, you remove yourself from the equation. If you are on a date and they make a demeaning comment, you don't argue, you stand up, pay for your share, and leave. If they send a manipulative text, you don't type out a furious reply. You mute the conversation and don't respond for days, or perhaps permanently. When you enforce the one-strike rule, you completely bypass the negotiation phase that narcissists love. They want you to argue because arguments give them a chance to gaslight you, make excuses, and turn the blame back onto you. By delivering an immediate consequence with zero explanation, you send a clear, unshakable message. Your respect is non-negotiable, and you are fully prepared to walk away the second it is compromised. Narcissists are terrified of people they cannot manipulate, and nothing screams unmanipulatable louder than a one-strike rule. The third strategy is the reverse interrogation method. Narcissists are master storytellers. They love to control the narrative, throw accusations, and put you on the witness stand. A typical conversation with a narcissist feels like an interrogation where you are constantly defending your character, trying to prove your innocence against absurd accusations. For example, imagine a narcissist accuses you of ruining their weekend because you wanted to spend a few hours with your own friends. The natural temptation is to defend yourself. That's not fair. I spend all my time with you, I just wanted to see my friends for 2 hours. Stop right there. The moment you say that, you are playing their game. Instead, use reverse interrogation. Look them dead in the eye, keep your voice completely flat, and ask, "Can you explain specifically how my spending 2 hours with my friends ruins your entire weekend?" They will likely dodge the question and bring up something irrelevant from 3 months ago. Do not let them escape. Pull them right back. We aren't talking about 3 months ago. I am asking you right now, what is the logical connection between my 2-hour outing and your entire weekend being ruined? Ask them questions like, are you genuinely upset about my actions, or are you just projecting your own frustration onto me right now? Or, do you honestly believe that making these demands is a healthy way to communicate? When you ask these laser-focused, clinical questions without an ounce of anger, the narcissist will get incredibly defensive, frantic, or enraged. Why? Because you have stripped them of their emotional shield. They can no longer manipulate the feelings in the room. They are being forced to face reality and facts, which are a narcissist's greatest enemies. Once they realize that talking to you feels like facing a courtroom judge rather than an emotional punching bag, they will avoid confronting you altogether. Fourth, you must decode and neutralize their public image. Every narcissist wears a carefully crafted mask. To the outside world, coworkers, neighbors, or extended family, they often appear as the most generous, charming, helpful, and kind-hearted individuals. This public image is their most prized possession. They spend an immense amount of energy maintaining it because it protects them from being exposed for who they truly are. You can use their obsession with their public image to protect yourself. To make a narcissist terrified of messing with you, you need to subtly let them know that you hold the keys to shattering that mask. You do not need to threaten them directly. In fact, open threats can make them dangerous and vengeful. Instead, you use the power of quiet exposure and documentation. If a narcissist is trying to bully you at work or within a family dynamic, ensure that every single interaction is documented. Stop having verbal agreements or private phone calls where it is your word against theirs. Move everything to emails, text messages, or written memos. When a narcissist realizes that there is a permanent paper trail of their toxic behavior, a trail that could easily. Furthermore, you can calmly highlight their inconsistencies in front of an audience. If they are acting like a saint in a public setting but were malicious to you just an hour prior, you can casually bring it up in a polite, conversational tone. You might say, "It's so interesting to hear you speak so passionately about teamwork today, considering you demanded full credit for the project privately yesterday." You say it with a smile, completely casual. The narcissist will freeze. They will realize that you are not afraid to pull back the curtain, and because their public reputation is everything to them, they will decide it is far safer to leave you alone than to risk public exposure. The fifth way to stop a narcissist in their tracks is to stop being surprised by their behavior and completely starve their ego. Narcissists rely heavily on the element of surprise and shock value. They love doing chaotic things. Canceling plans at the moment you stop being shocked by their malice is the moment they lose their psychological grip over you. You must reach a point of mental clarity where you expect them to be terrible. When they break a major promise or tell a blatant lie, instead of gasping, crying, or asking, "How could you do this to me?" you simply nod and think to yourself, "Of course they did." That is exactly what a narcissist does. Your outward reaction should be a shrug of the shoulders. When they see that their manufactured chaos evokes absolutely zero shock or panic from you, the thrill of the game dies for them. Alongside stopping the surprise, you must starve their craving for validation. Narcissists have an insatiable need to be praised, admired, and validated. They will brag about the smallest achievements, show off their possessions, or fish for compliments constantly. Stop feeding them. When they boast about something, give them a polite but entirely unenthusiastic response. A simple, "good for you," delivered with a monotone voice, acts like ice water on their burning ego. When you refuse to be shocked by their bad behavior and refuse to praise their good behavior, you become an empty well. They will quickly pack up their drama and move on to find someone else who will give them the emotional highs and lows they crave. Finally, the sixth and most devastating weapon you can use against a narcissist is the combination of strict no contact and your own radical success. All psychological strategies are effective, but cutting off contact entirely is the ultimate death blow to a narcissist's influence over your life. Strict no contact means completely blocking their phone number, unfriending and blocking them on every social media platform, refusing to speak to their friends who act as flying monkeys, and acting as if they do not exist on this planet. However, there are times when physical no contact is impossible, such as when you share custody of children or work in the exact same corporate office. Your happiness, your laughter, your promotions, and your glowing peace of mind are the ultimate punishments for a narcissist. Seeing you happy without them, seeing that they had absolutely no power to destroy your spirit, burns their ego to the ground. Every time they see you smiling, succeeding, and living your best life, it forces them to confront their own profound failure and insignificance. Your success becomes an impenetrable wall. They will never mess with you again, not just because they can't, but because looking at you reminds them of the one person they could never break. To truly ensure a narcissist never dares to cross your path again, you must expand your psychological toolkit even further. Narcissists rely on predictable human nature. They exploit your empathy, your guilt, and your desire for closure. When you break those predictable patterns, you become a riddle they cannot solve and a threat they cannot handle. The seventh strategy is the strict refusal to justify, argue, defend, or explain, a concept known in psychology as the JADE rule. When a narcissist attacks your character, makes a false accusation, or criticizes your choices, your natural human instinct is to defend yourself. You want to explain your side of the story, justify your actions, or argue against their twisted logic. The moment you do this, you have walked straight into their trap. By entering into a debate, you are inadvertently giving them the authority to judge you. You are validating their absurd premise. If a narcissist says, "You chose that job just to spite me," and you respond with, "No, I didn't. I chose it because the salary is better and it's closer to home," you are actively begging them to understand and approve of your life. They will use your explanations as ammunition to dismantle your confidence. To shut this down permanently, you must stop JADEING. When they present a ridiculous accusation, you simply state your boundary or your reality once, and then you refuse to back it up with explanations. If they say, "You are ruining this family by not coming to this event," your response is simply, "I won't be attending." When they demand, "Why? Give me one good reason," you do not give them one. You simply repeat, "Because it doesn't work for me." When they realize that you will not engage in the courtroom drama of defending your own life choices, they lose their power as a judge. The eighth weapon is learning to master the art of the awkward silence and using intense, unblinking eye contact. Narcissists are deeply insecure individuals who use a wall of noise, rapid-fire insults, and conversational chaos to keep you off balance. They expect you to fill the silence with nervous chatter, apologies, or defensive explanations. They want to rush you into making concessions. You can completely disrupt their nervous system by introducing absolute, heavy silence into the conversation. The next time a narcissist hurls an insult at you, mocks you, or tries to intimidate you, do not say a single word. Do not look away, do not look down at the floor, and do not cross your arms defensively. Instead, plant your feet, look them directly in the eyes, and just let the silence stretch. Count to 5 or 10 in your head while maintaining calm, cold eye contact. Do not let your facial expressions show anger or sadness, just a blank, piercing stare, as if you are observing a strange specimen in a laboratory. Silence is deeply uncomfortable for a narcissist because it forces them to sit with their own toxic words. In the absence of your reaction, their own ridiculous behavior is reflected right back at them. Usually, within a few seconds of this intense silence, the narcissist will become incredibly uncomfortable. They will start shifting their weight, blinking rapidly, stuttering, or trying to laugh it off by saying, "What are you looking at?" When they crack, you simply deliver a calm, short closing statement like, "Are you done?" or "Fascinating," and then calmly walk away. By mastering the awkward silence, you communicate that their words carry so little weight that they don't even deserve a verbal reply. Finally, the ninth strategy is to consciously adopt an abundance mindset and aggressively build your independent support system. Narcissists thrive on isolating their victims. They want you to believe that they are the center of your universe, that their opinion is the only one that matters, and that if you lose them, you will have nothing left. They cultivate a scarcity mindset in you, making you feel trapped and dependent on their breadcrumbs of affection. To make yourself completely immune to their tactics, you must build a life that is so rich, diverse, and full of genuine connections that the narcissist's presence or absence doesn't shift your baseline happiness by even a single %. Reconnect with old friends they forced you to drop. Invest deeply in hobbies, communities, networks, and professional circles where the narcissist has absolutely zero influence or access. When you have a thriving network of healthy people who validate your reality, love you unconditionally, and respect your boundaries, the narcissist's gaslighting completely loses its efficacy. When the narcissist tries to tell you, "Everyone thinks you're crazy," you will literally laugh out loud because you know for a fact that your boss, your true friends, and your mentors respect and value you immensely. You create a reality where the narcissist is just a small, insignificant dot on the periphery of your massive, beautiful life. When a narcissist looks at you and sees a person surrounded by a fortress of supportive friends, financial independence, and emotional stability, they realize that messing with you is a losing battle. They know they can only hunt in the shadows of isolation, and because you live fully in the light of abundance, they will retreat permanently, knowing you are far too strong to ever be broken again.